Hey YouTube, it just occurred to me that I never talked about my DMT trip on this channel. I think I may have talked about it on my other channel that I can't have access to, that I don't have access to anymore, but I have access to this one. So, my DMT trip. So, they say DMT finds you, and I find that to be very true because it found me in Hawaii when I moved there during a suicidal thing that I was going through, and I was like, well, I want to kill myself, so I'm just going to move to Hawaii. So what I did was I grabbed what little money I had like $1,200, and moved to Hawaii. So I had $1,500 before the ticket. So that was during COVID, so the whole ticket was only $300. That's dirt fucking cheap for Hawaii. So I just took the plane and went there with nowhere to live and nowhere to stay. I ended up finding a hostel, which is a place that many people can stay for a smaller amount of price because there's so many roommates that you have. So I lived with a whole bunch of men from prison, and this is a part of my story, and a lot of people don't know this about me in real life, not even my friends, but I don't really talk about this because I don't care. Like, it's a personal thing, but if they watch my YouTube channel, they can figure it out. But so I lived with a bunch of guys from prison, pretty much. So one of the guys, like a month and a half or so into my trip to Hawaii, he was like, oh yeah, I got some DMT. You would have some DMT. I was like, yeah. So me and these guys from prison fucking went in this circle, okay? We went in this circle of chairs, and we all just smoked the DMT out of the little pipe or whatever. So it wasn't like out of a bong, it was out of a pipe. So it wasn't like super like saturated or anything. It was just like a little bit of DMT up in the system. And like I remember, so we were sitting in the circle, and I was like, oh my god, I'm so excited. Like, I can't wait. I hope I blast off or whatever. Because I used to watch like trip reports where people would like report like blasting off into outer space in their own head, and like I never experienced that. So what I experienced was, so I think I took about like 3 hits or something, maybe 4, but they were small because I didn't smoke weed or anything at the time. I was literally sober up until then, and I've always wanted to try it, so I literally tried it. And this guy, so it's such a weird experience. So what happened was I got high, okay, off of this DMT drug. And I don't know if it was pure DMT. I don't know if it was laced with anything. But all I know is that I did have an experience, that's for sure. An out-of-body experience. Kind of, not really an out-of-body experience. Let me take that back. It was an inner-body experience. But also an outer-body experience. So what happened was, these guys in the circle, I was looking at them, right? And when I was looking at them, they still looked human. But I could read their thoughts through my head. So, so what was happening was, we were using telepathy to communicate. And I know this might sound crazy to the average Joe, but I usually do this in real life without DMT. It was just more pronounced during the DMT trip. So what happened was, like, I was reading his thoughts and energy through his vibration that he was sending my way, kind of like snail mail through his brain to my brain. And he was like replying to my feelings in real life. So like he was like, yeah, I know. And I was like, how do you know? And he's like, I just do. And I was like, no way. Like, I can't tell you. It was trippy. Okay, it was trippy, but it was cool. So, would I do it again? Maybe. Maybe. But that's probably the only drug I would ever want to do again. Shrooms, it was okay. LSD, no. Not LSD. I don't like LSD. LSD is trash. Do not do LSD. Shrooms, maybe. LSD, no. DMT, maybe. Okay, so here's what happened. literally, like, me and these guys, like, we were all, like, kind of telepathically communicating with each other, and I was, like, looking at them, and, like, literally just with a look, they would know what I was thinking. Like, and I know they knew because, like, they were telling me in their head, like, without speaking. Like, I know that sounds crazy, but when you're on this drug, everything makes sense. And I was also seeing God in these people, like a part of myself in these other people. Now, I think that's true in every case, even in real life. You know, when I go to work, I see God as other people, even without the drug. But I'm just saying, like, that's how I saw it at the time, and, like, I was communicating with them telepathically. I don't know how else to explain it. I know, I don't, like, there's no way. It's a experience that you have to experience before. Like, I'm not saying to do it, okay? I'm really not, because I believe everybody has a different experience. For me, that was my experience. Did I blast off into outer space and have an out-of-body experience? No. Did I hallucinate? A little bit. So I'm going to talk about that. So my hallucinations were a little bit, like, I believe they're a tiny bit, like, wavy, and, like, I was seeing people still, but they were more, like, it wasn't really a hallucination, it was more like they were just really pronounced. Like, I really saw them. Like, I don't know how that's, like, it's so hard to explain. I saw them. Like, I really took it all in and experienced the whole shebang. You know what I'm saying? Like, and one of my friends is actually moving to Arizona, and she said that they have Indian reservations there, so I was thinking about doing ayahuasca there if I ever went. Like, if I could. Like, if they have it there, I would do it. And, like, I've always dreamed about doing that. So, like, that would be so cool, like, to do that with, like, some Indian people, some brown people, like me. Like, some brown people. like, I don't know why that makes me so excited. But, you know, brown people where I'm at, we're very scarce. So having brown people, you know, being interested in the same kinds of stuff, like spiritual stuff you're interested in, is very, it's cool to me. And I'm just like, you know, that sounds cool. Like, it sounds like something I would be into. And even my sister, she told me she wanted to do that too, so maybe I'll invite my sister. But yeah, so it was a really strange experience. Like, it's hard to explain. Like, you have to do it yourself if you ever want to, you know, experience it, but everybody's is different. That's the thing. I can't tell you that it's going to be a good experience for you, because LSD for other people was a good experience and LSD for me was shit. So I cannot tell you, you know, that it's going to be a good experience for you, because it was for me. You know, it was interesting. It, like, tickled my soul, but it wasn't, you know, the best. You know, it didn't make me happy necessarily. It didn't, like, make me feel euphoric or anything. So I also did MDMA, and, you know, when I took the MDMA pill, I took a transformer. Nothing happened. Like, literally nothing. I think it was a ripoff. Nothing. I was like, is this it? I thought I was going to be happy. I thought I was going to have, you know, really horny urges. And I didn't. And I was really upset. I was like, I thought I was going to be horny and happy, and I'm neither of those things. So now I'm upset. But yeah, every drug is going to be different. If you choose to take drugs, always, always, always research before you do them. Research what it does to your brain. Okay? If it fucks up your brain, don't take it. Like meth, don't fucking do that shit. Don't do heroin, don't do meth. I am telling you, as somebody who's done a few drugs, I only delve in psychedelics here and there. Now, like, would I do it again? Perhaps. Not shrooms, not LSD, but maybe DMT. Maybe MDMA again, if I was being stupid. I did cocaine once, and it did nothing for me. So, you know, every drug is different for every person. And I'm just telling you this because, for harm reduction purposes, always, always, always research and even test your drugs with a test kit. I believe you can get them from Amazon. I personally didn't test mine because I was stupid. Do I suggest doing that? No. Why? Because it fucked up my brain. Is it harder for me to speak? Yes. Is it harder for me to think? Yes. Is it harder for me to do, daily tasks? It was. But now, after a few years of being sober, it's not so hard. But I'm just saying, drugs do mess with your brain. And after I did LSD, I'm going to tell you this. I did have hallucinations for a year or 2 or 3 afterwards without doing drugs because of the after effects of it. So, I would see dragons at night in the dark, and that wasn't normal for me, and they were very annoying. They weren't, malicious. They didn't look creepy necessarily. I just saw them, and I was like, why am I seeing this shit? And it would happen every day for years. And I'm just saying, when you do drugs, it will fuck with your brain, and you have to be very cautious about what you're taking. So having a test kit would definitely help you. I was a stupid teenager, and I didn't do that. But I'm just saying, I don't know how much it costs, but I'm sure it's not too much. But testing your stuff would definitely help you. Okay, I'm just saying, if you, and you also got to keep in mind, it might damage your brain. It might keep you hallucinating for a few years afterwards. I had to learn that lesson myself. And that's something that you have to make. That's a choice you have to make as an adult or as a human being on planet Earth. If you want to do that, do it in someone's company that you trust. Do it, or don't. That's probably the best decision, is to not do LSD. I don't do LSD, and that's my suggestion. Shrooms, maybe, because honestly, it's natural, first of all, and it wears off really fast. The LSD is a man-made chemical. That's why, and it fucks with your brain. I would not suggest doing that. There's been a few times on LSD where I felt like I was, dying, and I don't suggest doing that. MDMA, I didn't really feel anything, but it might have been a dud. So it really just depends on where you get your stuff from, if you test it, whatever. And then weed, I've had a lot of experiences on weed. Weed can be hit or miss. I prefer Reggie, which is the stupid, the cheap shit, if you will. The cheap shit is what I prefer because I don't know why, but the high is better for me than the loud shit with the crystals on the plant. Yeah, that one doesn't do it for me. The Reggie, that shit did it for me, okay? That got me the highest of the high, let me tell you. And also, what was I saying? Oh, DMT, yeah. DMT, that's the world's strongest psychedelic. So, Google trip reports and look up all kinds of trips that people have had. They will literally write down what happened to them, and you can read it. I researched it thoroughly before I did any drug, and that's the best thing you can do for yourself if you want to delve into that route. Do I suggest it? Not necessarily, because honestly, living a sober life is the best thing you can do. You just have to socialize with other people. That's my 2 cents. Socialize with other people, make interpersonal connections, and be happy, make friendships. That's the best thing you could do. Find love. Animals, people, anything you can. If you can't do that right now, I was at that point in my life where I was lonely, I didn't have anything going for me, and that's why I chose the drug route. And I understand that. But I also understand, you have to understand for your brain that you need to research what you're doing to your brain before you do it. Because you don't want to fuck up your brain like I did. I fucked up my brain when I did LSD for years, but I'm okay now, I was 19 the last time I did it, and I'm 27 now, And I hallucinated for years after, till I was like 22, 23. And that's a while, okay? That's a while, and I wasn't doing drugs in between that, those points in time. So it was literally like 4 years of just hallucinations here and there. Like I would see like random like lights going like this, beep. And it was your brain going, what the fuck's going on? Because this LSD is still in my brain. Pretty much. And then the dragons I would see, and they weren't scary. They were just kind of like, why are you here? Why are you here? But yeah, it's different for everybody. I don't suggest cocaine. Don't do that. Don't do LSD. Shrooms, perhaps, because honestly, they do have positive properties such as antidepressant properties if you use them in very, very, very tiny doses. If you're not going to use them in very, very, very tiny doses and you want to trip on them, that's your own decision to make as your own individual person. Did I have positive trips on shrooms? No. Do I think it was better than LSD? Yes. Why? Because it's natural. It's not man-made. And that's the reason. Because the man-made chemicals fucked me up. The shrooms, they did not. Okay? And that's the fucking truth. And that's why, okay, if you're going to go in any route, go the natural route. Weed, shrooms. Start with weed. I think that's the mildest psychedelic. Weed is a psychedelic, by the way. It does fuck with your brain to some extent, especially when you first try it. And then, if you want to go any further, shrooms, and I would stop there. And I'm being 100% honest. Would I do DMT if I were you? If you really want to, I guess if it finds you, you could try it. That's your own decision. But I'm also drunk right now. So me giving you my drunk advice, I don't think I would listen. But I'm just saying, like, natural is always better. And that's my 2 cents. And, you got to be honest with yourself. Do you care about your brain? Because if you don't, that's also another issue. Because that's how I was. I didn't care about my brain. I didn't care about anything. I didn't even care about my life. And that's why I did the drug route. I went down the drug hole. And you know what? If that's the hole you go down, you're going to learn lessons. And that's the truth. You're going to learn all kinds of lessons. Do not do meth. Do not do heroin. And I really mean that. Do not. MDMA, also known as ecstasy, has meth in it. Did I do that? One time I did. Did it fuck me up? Not necessarily. Nothing really happened that night. I just took it and I just felt normal the whole night. So it was a disappointment. And I really mean that. So I'm just saying, like, I don't even know if I'd take that, honestly, because it just seemed like a waste of my money. But then again, it might have also been a dud. I have no clue, but I don't condone the use of drugs. I really don't. I think, this is just me from my experience. And I'm just telling you, if you're going to do anything, do natural things that come from nature. Because man-made chemicals are always going to be shitty. You don't know what they're going to do to you. You really don't. And even the natural ones, you don't know what they're going to do to you either. And I just really mean that. You never know what weed's going to do to you, because I did weed for years and years, and it ended up, I did it so much every day to the point where I started acting different and loopy because I was just out of it. And that's just what happens sometimes when you abuse a drug. I abused it. You're not just using it at that point. If you use it every day for hours and hours and hours, you're not just using it, you're abusing it. There's a difference between using something and abusing it, and I was abusing it, trust me. Because I got mine for free. Don't ask how. And I really mean that. Like, you really have to be careful if you ever choose that route. And if you ever want to do that, then do research, please. That is my request for you, is to do research. Tell your parents. I told my parents. Why? That was my personal choice. If you don't want to, maybe you have your reasons. Maybe you don't. But I told my parents. when I popped pills, I told my parents. When I did weed, I told my parents. When I did LSD, I told my parents. When I did shrooms, I told my parents. Everything. Because I wanted them to know if I was acting weird, that they could call somebody. And that's a good thing to do, especially if you trust your parents and you want them, they want your health in their heart and mind. Then they should do that for you. They should, protect you. And, if you need medical care, they need to call somebody and tell them what happened. And that's just the truth. Could you go to jail? Maybe. I don't know. If it's illegal where you're at, then maybe. But for me personally, no. So just be careful where you're at and what you're doing. And yeah, but I'll see you guys in the next one. Always do your research and never abuse drugs, honestly. It's awful. Bye.